Again, we have this tornado warning for parts of Pike, Walthall counties until 11:30 this morning. Macomb, this does not concern you with that tornado risk. Magnolia, same story. This is off to the east of I-55, but if you're close to Tylertown, Salem, Progress, these are the areas that would really be at concern here over the next little bit. Can we look at maybe the wind field to see where the winds are turning, where we would have a center or circulation? Again, we're kind of far from the radar. We only are relying on the Jackson radar, considering the New Orleans radar is currently down, and this is where we would potentially have maybe a tornado, but again, we don't have any confirmation, but it would be right over the Highway 48, Highway 575 corridor intersection where we could possibly have a tornado or a storm producing a possible tornado, where we've got some strong winds in this area. It doesn't look nearly as impressive as what some other storms may look like when we have tornado warnings issued, but we're quite a ways from the radar, so it's not going to be the best of looks this far away in some of our far most southern areas. But again, on the intersection of Highway 48, 575, this is where we would have the potential of maybe a tornado very close to Leggett, Mesa, Walker's Bridge Road, Old Highway 24 extension, and then continuing off to the north and east, Oak Grove Road, Highway 583, Harveytown Road, Salem. This is going to get very close to these locations as it tracks to the north and east around 30 miles an hour. Pretty slow moving, especially compared to the storms that Elise and I were talking about a couple of weeks ago, maybe even less than a week ago, I guess, where we had those fast moving storms. They were in and out of here very quickly, moving around 70, 80 miles an hour. These are going to be slower movers, but again, it is a storm nonetheless that could have the potential of producing a tornado chase. Are you seeing anything on your end? Maybe anything in the chat? Are you noticing anything about this particular storm?
Nothing in the chat right now that we don't know already, but what we are seeing is the rotation seems to be broadening just a little bit. It's not as defined as it was just a little bit ago, so that's what we're really tracking for right now. It's still moving off to the northeast at roughly 30 miles an hour. It is expected to continue off that way. It's looking like it's going to stay just to the north of Tylertown. That doesn't mean that if you are in the Tylertown area that this storm is not of your concern. You still need to be keeping a very close eye on this because, as we all know, these things can turn very quickly, and still it hasn't been a confirmation that we've seen a tornado, but this storm does have the capability of producing one. So we're going to be tracking this and keeping a very close eye on this system as we continue throughout this warning.
Yeah, I would say Progress, you're still included under the warning. They haven't trimmed it back quite yet, but again, you're still under the warning. Emerald, Leggett as well, but I would say the area of concern is still or has now shifted to the east of these locations and would be really a concern out towards Highway 98. Tylertown, make sure you are in your tornado safe place. Hopefully no one is traveling out and about on the roadways right now. We have a lot of flooded roadways across much of the area from this training band of heavy rainfall, which is finally starting to make some progress to the east, which is good news, but now that's causing some flash flooding issues to areas out towards McGee, Mendenhall, Raleigh, Leake County, anyone out towards that way. That is where that flash flooding risk is really in place right now. That tornado risk exists farther to our south in Pike and Walthall County. Now, I would say that almost this area circulation is about to clear parts of Pike County, but if you live in the eastern section of Pike County, make sure that you are still in your tornado safe place.
So we did just get a brand new update. There is still radar indicated rotation with this system. It's 14 miles to the southeast of Macomb, currently moving northeast at 40 miles an hour, so it's picked up just a little bit of speed.
Okay.
So we're going to be seeing that move towards Tylertown and Salem. As of right now, that's the update that we're looking at just out from the National Weather Service.
Yeah, it looks like they trimmed that back when they came out with that update for more of Pike County. So can we zoom in a little bit more to see what areas and towns they did clear out of that? So Progress, you are no longer under that tornado warning as that area of circulation is now very close to the Walthall and Pike County line. Tylertown, you're still included under this warning. Same story out towards Salem as well. These are the areas that you need to make sure that you are in your tornado safe place. For the next little bit, this warning goes until 11:30, so we're going to be watching this for at least the next 25 minutes unless they decide to pull the warning, but considering it still shows some areas of rotation, we've got to make sure that we are paying attention to the weather. And hopefully you're not getting out and about on the roadways right now, not just because of the tornado threat, but also for that flash flooding potential as well. It's going to be very close to the Tylertown area around 11:09, so 4 minutes. We try to subtract 5 minutes off these timelines to give yourself enough time to get in your tornado safe place. So you need to be in your tornado safe place now. Dinan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, around 11:11. Salem, 11:15. Give yourself 10 more minutes before this area of rotation is very close to your area, and that is when it will likely track over Highway 586. And again, it's coming very close to the Tylertown area. We've got this notch almost very close again to Highway 48, Highway 98. This is the area of concern. And even if we don't have a tornado out towards this way, you're going to see some pretty gusty winds.
Yeah, I was actually just going to mention that, Peyton. So I've got mic'd up here so y'all can hear me now, but they did say from our National Weather Service office here in Jackson that part of this line in Smith County has merged together, and they've issued a special weather statement to see, or for gusty winds that you could see up to 50 miles an hour. So even if you're not under that tornado warning, if you're in this eastern zone where these strong storms are moving through, you can certainly see some damaging wind gusts. And that is, another factor, something that we did talk about earlier. We have that marginal risk across central Mississippi and then that slight risk in our southern counties today to see these severe storms. So it's not something that was unexpected. It's not out of the blue, but do keep in mind that there are some gusty winds as this strong line of storms goes through. You can see where the line is right now. Of course, we have that active tornado warning. If you're in the warning in that polygon, you do need to be in your safe place right now. And that is actually within a flash flood warning as well. So keep in mind too, if you are out on the roads behind this tornado warning where you're in the clear from that, you still need to be aware of where you're driving, of what's in front of you. Make sure that you're not trying to drive over any flooded roads. That's definitely a dangerous thing to be doing now. And we've got other flash flood warnings out across central Mississippi too.
Can we zoom into that Smith County cell just so we can show where the potential for some gusty winds would exist? It would really be on the southeastern part of the county. So this leading and edge is where, again, we could see some winds. Do they say maybe upwards of 50 miles an hour?
That is correct.
So yeah, we could see 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts ahead of this line right here that's already tracked through Mize, Raleigh, but out towards Taylorsville in the southeastern part of the county, out towards Highway 28, south of, or even out towards Bay Springs. Again, this is where we could see some wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. There's no tornado threat with this particular storm. It's something we are keeping a close eye on. The only tornado warned storm that we're tracking right now is in Pike and more so Walthall County. Most of Pike County has been removed from this warning, but again, it goes until 11:30. It includes around 1,800 people. So anyone out towards the Tylertown area, Salem, make sure that you are in your tornado safe place. If you know anyone out towards this way, maybe give them a call and make sure that they're aware of what's happening outside. Maybe the warnings or the tornado sirens are going off. Again, this is where we would have the concern of a possible tornado as it now moves very close to the Tylertown area. Is this moving more so to the east rather than northeast? Because it looks like just as you did that radar loop, it looks like it may have nudged itself farther east rather than tracking northeast.
Yeah, the National Weather Service is saying northeast at 40 miles an hour, but it is shifting a little more to the east, like you're saying. I think the rotation and broadening is actually helping it kind of push further east. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that. But as of right now, the National Weather Service is still saying 40 miles an hour to the northeast. But as you did point out, it does seem to be shifting a little more to the east. So
and it looks like it's riding that southern side of the polygon. So, as I mentioned earlier, it looks like Pryor may have missed or may possibly miss Tylertown to the north, but now that it's riding more the southern side of the warning, again, it's going to be very close to the Tylertown area if we do have a possible tornado on the ground, where we do have some gusty winds regardless out towards this way, even if we don't have a tornado itself on the ground. Tylertown, I mean, it's basically on top of you. Make sure that you are in your tornado safe place. Again, lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible in the instance that we have flying debris. 11:30. If there is a tornado, maybe you have a helmet. That would also be a good idea. Tylertown, again, right on top of you right now. Davo is going to be around that area around 11, 12. And then before that, then it moves out of Walthall County and out of our DMA. But as long as it's in Walthall County and we have this tornado warning in effect, we will be staying on the air with you until this warning expires and until there's no threat for a tornado at all. Elise, Chase, are y'all seeing anything new? Maybe any power outages out towards this way that we aren't aware of quite yet?
I'm going to pull up the power
Okay.
outages for us here, Peyton. Just want to also point out again, that's that part of the system. It's all the same system, but that cell that's moving through Smith County certainly we're not seeing any power outages
Okay, good news.
right now from this. Now, back behind this, I do want to point out in Jefferson County, there are quite a few power outages this morning. 471 of you without power. There's 47 people without power in Yazoo County, and in Walthall County, there are 28 people without power, but not sure if that is related to this particular storm that moved through. Of course, we do still have that storm. We've got the one in Smith County, so gusty winds out there and the heavy rainfall. I zoomed into this one in Smith County, and the rain is so hard that you really just can't even see if you have to be driving out there. Like showing up into the pinks on our first alert radar view.
There's Max 2 now on screen.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I mean, it's just it's not a pretty sight, and we definitely want you to be in your safe place if you're here in Pike County or in Walthall County. Still going to be watching this closely. I did see the National Weather Service say that they were not planning on extending this past Walthall County, but that was a few minutes ago. So we're going to continue to watch it and just see if we have any changes to the cell, to that particular part of the storm. Right now, though, not really any changes other than just being in that safe place and being prepared as the system moves through. And
I believe once it exits Walthall County, it would then be moving into the coverage area of the National Weather Service in Jackson. So this initial warning was issued by the National Weather Service out of New Orleans. So we're going to see what the Jackson Weather Office decides to do if they feel like this circulation still warrants a tornado warning, and that it would be moving out of Walthall County and out of our local viewing area. But even if they did extend a warning, it still could include some clips of parts of the area. But again, we are still watching this tornado warning that is in effect for Pike and Walthall counties. It still includes a sliver of the far eastern side of Pike County, but the area of concern has moved out of Pike County and is now over central Walthall County. So anyone out towards Pike County, I would say that you're likely good to go, although the warning is still in effect. But again, it's really shifted out of Pike County. I would not be surprised if they clip the warning even further here over the next couple of minutes. This warning goes until 11:30. It's moving around 35 miles an hour. So we're going to see what the National Weather Service decides to do here very shortly, considering the warning will be expiring here very soon. I'm not looking at a very tight couplet where we would see a very tight circulation. It looks very broad right now. Do y'all agree on that? I mean, we could see some really gusty winds regardless, but the tornado threat doesn't look very, very concerning, but we still have a warning in effect. So I still want you to get in your tornado safe place, regardless of whether we have confirmation or not that one is currently on the ground. It just looks very messy out towards this way, but again, we're very far from the radar. We're looking at this from the radar in Brandon. So again, pretty far away, but again, it's going to be, and even if we don't have a tornado out towards this way, this storm may seem severe, or any other storms, just from how impactful they are with the heavy rain, the lightning. We've seen a lot of lightning and heavy rain here in the metro, although we haven't had any severe weather. But I mean, the storms could be severe to you at home, regardless of not having any severe weather itself.
Yeah, we're looking at actually the newest update radar scan did show that it's starting to bow out just a little bit. So this threat of more of a tornado is diminishing, but we are seeing the threat for damaging winds kind of ramp up with this system. So the tornado threat looking to diminish, but there's still little notches in there that we're still watching for very closely, just because this storm does have the capability to produce a tornado. Doesn't mean it has yet. So right now, the main concern that I would be looking at would be more of the damaging winds that could impact people out there. But there's still that tornado warning in effect with it. It's looking more messy to the south of the system, but still there's those little notches in that cell that mixing in with that broad rotation. We could be seeing something in that area, but honestly, it's not looking too impressive right now. But we are very far from the radar, so that's really the hindrance with this storm. So that's some stuff that we're going to be keeping up with.
Yeah, let's do a brief reset. Let's do a wide view in case anyone is just now joining. We hopped on air for a tornado warning for Pike and Walthall County, which is still is currently in effect. But we have a lot of activity elsewhere. It's been a very wet start to the day, and this is, again, just the beginning to wet weather that will continue for the rest of today, overnight tonight, and even into tomorrow morning, where that flash flood risk will continue. We have several flash flood warnings in effect, especially near and south of I-20. We've had several inches of rain that has already fallen so far this morning. We're talking rain totals as high as 6 to 8 inches of rain. So any flooded roadways, ponding, make sure that you avoid them. You take it easy out on the roadways. But in addition to that flash flood risk, which is going to be a widespread impact from today's system, there still could be a couple of strong storms along this leading edge, which is tracking off to the east. We've got some gusty wind potential in parts of Smith County. We've got that tornado warning we're still tracking in now Walthall and a portion of Pike County as well until 11:30, goes until 15 more minutes or so. So we've got some time to see if this warning will be extended farther north. And if it does get extended, then it could include parts of Lawrence and Jeff Davis County. So just a heads up to southern sections of Lawrence and Jeff Davis counties. And it looks like we now have, or that's a severe with a tornado possible. Is that correct?
Let me.
Yeah, so that's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of the far eastern side of Smith County. This is where we had that potential of very gusty winds. They decided to put a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag because it looks like there may be a small notch very close to Bay Springs, south of Bay Springs. If we could just turn on velocity, this warning goes until 12 o'clock. And this is going to be moving out of Smith County here very shortly, out of our local viewing area, but very close to Bay Springs. Along Highway 531 is where they likely are putting that tornado possible tag, where this storm could briefly spin up a tornado. But again, this is going to be mainly a concern for wind gusts, probably up to 60 miles an hour. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm not seeing it in the now. Okay, it just popped up just now on the. Yes, for 60 miles an hour, winds are greater for Jasper and Smith County right now. It's moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. Quickly, it will be moving out of our DMA. But it's just something to note that these storms do have the capability of spinning up still very powerful systems. So it's not just the flash flooding threat right now, or the flash flooding threat right now. It's also the impact that we could be seeing very strong cells be popping up just randomly throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, and these could along this leading edge just may briefly try to spin up a tornado. It probably wasn't something that would occur over a long period of time, but they may have a brief spin up. So again, that's why they issued that severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag for far eastern parts of Smith County. That does not include Mize. It does not include Raleigh. Again, it's mainly for the far eastern side. It's even north of Taylorsville as well, and that's going to be moving out of our area here very soon. But the tornado warning still continues for parts of Pike, Walthall counties until 11:30, and we're still looking at the potential for maybe a tornado, regardless if we have one or not. You're going to see some gusty winds in addition to the heavy rainfall, which is causing flash flooding concerns as well. We also have flash flood warnings in effect out towards this way as well. Are y'all seeing anything new on y'all's side, maybe in the chat?
No, Peyton, I'm looking closely. They're asking about extending this tornado warning into Marion County.
Okay.
But the National Weather Service has said that at this time they're not expecting to extend it at all.
Okay. Great news. And they just trimmed that warning back, I see.
Okay, that's great too. Yeah. So we're watching, of course, that threat for those damaging winds. I've got that still pulled up here, and that's in eastern parts of Smith County. Again, near the Bay Springs area, but it will quickly be moving out of here. But regardless of that, you're also under those flash flood warnings, and that's still one of the main factors for us as we get into the rest of the day today. Peyton's mentioned it. We've mentioned it multiple times. This system stalled out to the west earlier this morning and dropped 6 to 8 inches of rain already on some people, with rain still trailing in behind it. And then, of course, on top of that, we've still got this active tornado warning that we're watching really closely. The rotation with this progress has broadened. It has diminished the threat a little bit, but you're still under a tornado warning. It hasn't been canceled, so you need to be in that tornado safe place. And even in this area where you're seeing the other in eastern Smith County into Jasper County, if you're at home or even if you're at work, you need to be in your safe place. Try not to be out on the roads until this last bit of the system clears our area, because this is really starting to ramp up as it gets into our eastern zones here, and we don't want you to be out on the roads driving in any of this. And of course, if you run into a flooded road where we have those flash flood warnings in effect, make sure that you're not driving across those roads either. Make sure you turn around. We don't want to see any people drown or be injured because of this flash flooding. I don't want you to take it lightly. And also, of course, don't take either of these warnings lightly. Even the severe thunderstorm warning, treat it as a tornado warning. Just be in that tornado safe place, because winds up to 60 miles an hour can still cause significant damage. And then, now they're watching those 2 areas of weak rotation near Bay Springs that you just talked about, Peyton, with that same tornado possible.
Yeah, and it looks like that's going to be right along now the Smith and Jasper County line. So that's going to be moving out of here very shortly.
Yeah.
Again, it has the possibility of maybe spinning up a tornado, but it's not enough. If we could just zoom in to that storm out in Smith County, far eastern side, very close to Bay Springs is, again, where we have this little node, very close to Highway 18. Again, it's nothing that would be warranting a tornado warning right now, but right over Highway 18 and in the intersection of Highway, I think that was 531, now just to the east of or west of Bay Springs, this is where we could have maybe a brief spin up. Again, it's a little uncertain right now, but it could have the possibility, and that's going to be moving out of Smith County here very momentarily. Would not be surprised if they trimmed back the warning even further, but that's a storm to keep a close eye on. Heads up to anyone out in the Lewin area, up Highway 18 off to the east. That is where there may be a possible tornado threat over the coming minutes. I do want to go briefly back down to Pike County, because they did trim back the warning.
I was going to say, speaking of you trimming down warnings, they did trim down Pike. You are in the clear right now. The National Weather Service office down in New Orleans trimmed back the warning, so everyone in Pike County, you are clear. You're still dealing with some moderate to heavy rainfall, especially in the southeast portions of the county, more towards Progress along that Highway 575 and Highway 48. But they are still watching out for this tornado warning. It's still going for Walthall County. It's still moving off to the northeast as of right now. It is moving at 40 miles an hour still, 16 miles west of Columbia. We haven't got confirmation yet if they are going to continue this into Marion County. It's not confirmed as of yet, but we're still keeping a very close eye on that.
I think they said not at this time that they aren't, but they're going to be watching it to see if it does potentially produce a spin up. But again, this goes for around 8 more minutes for Walthall County. It looks very broad right now. It's very messy out towards this way, but again, we're pretty far away from the radar. But regardless, still could see some gusty winds, I would say as high as maybe 50, 60 miles an hour out towards this way, as now it gets very close to, can we see what highway this is? Highway 586 near Darbun, very close to Salem. This is where I would say the area of concern is now going to be highest with this area of circulation. Again, it does not look very concerning with the tornado aspect as when they initially issued the warning, so that is really good news. But they're probably going to just keep this warning in effect until it expires, or either this storm moves out of Walthall County, and then from there it's going to be moving into Marion County, and then Jeff Davis County off to the north and east. Do y'all have anything else you're watching on this specific storm, Chase or Elise?
As of right now, I'm not seeing anything too impressive. The storm off to the north, though, that's the one that National Weather Service Jackson has actually been keeping a very close eye on. So there are those little notches that we are seeing. It's looking like it's going to be out of our area, moving just out of Smith County, though. So it's worth keeping an eye on, especially if you do live in the Bay Springs area and you do pick us up. It's really something that we are going to have to keep watching out for that area. So if you are in Scott County, you do want to be keeping a very close eye on that as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be crossing over Highway 15 out towards Bay Springs, Lewin. That is where there could be wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour, maybe a brief tornado. But as we've been talking about, this is now starting to shift out of Smith County and will be moving off to the north and east. But something everyone's seeing from this system is the heavy rainfall, and we've had a lot of flash flooding issues so far today. And again, this is just the beginning to even wet weather that will continue through about tomorrow morning. The heaviest of rain now shifting off to our east, closing in on I-59. So that heavy bout of rain will be moving out. We may just see light to moderate showers here over the coming hours, but we will likely see more periods of heavy rainfall overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. That could cause more flash flooding issues on top of the rainfall that we've already seen so far this morning. So if you have see any ponding on the roadways, make sure that you are being very cautious getting out and about on the roadways today. As we've seen a lot of flash flooding, you see those green and white polygons. Those are flash flood warnings in effect. They may just remain in effect for the next several hours or so as rain continues to impact parts of the area. But that tornado risk, once we get this main leading edge out, we may just see that severe weather risk come to an end here early this afternoon, which is good news. It's not going to be an all-day long event and nothing that would be too terribly widespread. But Walthall County, you're under a tornado warning until 11:30, 5 more minutes before we get this storm out and before this warning is expired. It's now going to be shifting to the north of Tylertown. So Tylertown, can we zoom in just to see? It looks like the actual warning includes a sliver of the town, especially the northern part. If you maybe have a Tylertown address but live north of town. Again, the main area of concern, I would say, is shifting to your north, which is really good news. But the northern side of Walthall County is where we could have a possible tornado. Again, get in the lowest level of your home. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If we do have flying debris, put a helmet on. Most injuries from tornadoes and debris are head trauma injuries. So again, if you have a helmet, maybe a pop, put it on your head in case we have a tornado. But again, we have not had any confirmation that one is on the ground. Are y'all seeing anything on y'all's end that maybe I'm missing on this side?
Not anything new, really,
Okay.
Peyton. Just going to continue to monitor those same ones and point out again that even if the tornado threat here, or even though it is pretty minimal and the rotation doesn't look good, there are still very likely some really gusty, potentially damaging winds in those areas. So in Walthall County, west of the Dinan area, right near Salem, moving towards Darbin at the moment, and then in Smith County, but really anywhere where you're on the leading edge of that system right now, that as it moves through, there is the potential to see those damaging, very gusty winds that could be upwards of 50, maybe even 60 miles an hour. So that's something to keep in mind, along with the torrential downpours that we're going to continue to see and are currently seeing. I do think the worst of that wind has moved out of Smith County now and is likely into Jasper County. So the Raleigh area, y'all are starting to see that rain lighten up a little bit. Mendenhall, Rockport, Monticello, you're seeing the rain lighten up a little bit. And the worst of this system is tracking off to the east relatively quickly, much quicker than it was moving earlier this morning. So that's good news for us. And then, of course, we're going to continue to watch this right here. But they haven't issued any new information here. There are some flash flooding reports that continue to come in, and those areas of very weak, very minimal rotation into Jasper County, because again, the worst of that has moved out of Smith County, so it's not going to be impacting you too much as far as wind or the tornado threat, but there's still those very heavy downpours. But you can see there, that leading edge is where the red and the green are meeting right now, and that's where you're going to see the worst of the wind gusts this morning and through the afternoon hours. But once this initial push is through the area, we will see that severe threat fall off quite a bit for the rest of the day, which is good news. We can kind of take a breath. We can maybe sit and just enjoy and appreciate the rain as much as we can, despite the flash flood warning. So hopefully we're not going to see too much damage from this flash flooding today. But some of you, again, have already seen 6, even up to 8 inches of rain, and that is going to continue to bring impacts even once the flash flooding subsides. As it makes its way into waterways, we'll see some river flooding potential going into the day tomorrow and through the nighttime hours tonight. So something also to keep in mind if you live near a river or a creek that floods maybe relatively easily, then you may see some effects from that here over the next few hours. I don't know if you'll have any other updates or anything that we need to be looking at right now. All we're going to continue to do though is watch this tornado warned storm that still not looking very impressive at the moment, but if there is something on the ground, it's going to be near the Salem area, moving towards Darbin at the moment. But really on the radar view here, you're not seeing anything very impressive looking, and even on the velocity where we're looking at the winds for you guys, we're not seeing anything super impressive there either. But as we move up towards really now it's into Jasper County. Actually, it is in Jasper County. So they've taken you out of that severe thunderstorm warning. Smith County, you're good to go. Again, that's moving out of here quickly. We're just watching that one last tornado warned storm at the moment.
And it looks like they're going to allow that to expire.
They
So
actually
Perfect.
they just let it expire just now.
So we're going to see, we already see that disappear. So we still have the polygon still on our screen.